In 1910, unidentified indigenous people are seen with horse-drawn travois, likely gathered for the traditional summer fair in Lethbridge. In 1908, a typical saloon in Douglas, southeast Alaska, displayed the rustic charm of the bars from that era. It was a popular gathering spot for miners, fishermen, and adventurers to unwind after long days of work. In 1899, men move a dog-drawn fire wagon to fight a fire in Dawson, Yukon Territory, while a crowd watches from the main street. In 1900, Front Street in Nome, Alaska, bustles with activity and mud, capturing the chaos and energy of a city fueled by the gold rush. Miners, merchants, and adventurers crowd the street, all in search of new opportunities. Around 1880, the itinerant Ladies of the Night of the Klondike pose in front of the modest tent where they worked. Traveling from place to place, these pioneering women made their living amid the harsh conditions of the gold rush. In 1884, members of the Kootenai First Nation indigenous people are seen on horseback in Donald, East Kootenai. This near ghost town, located on the northeast bank of the Columbia River, had been home to indigenous peoples for thousands of years before European explorers arrived. In 1898, 3 people pose with a team of sled dogs on Dawson Street, Alaska. In the background, the Pioneer Bakery and Cafe can be seen, a popular gathering spot for adventurers of the Klondike Gold Rush. In this 1898 photo, men stand outside Mary's Hotel, located on a mining claim in the Bonanza Creek area, south of Dawson City, Yukon. Mary is seen outside the door. During the summer, she grew lettuce on the cabin's roof. Babe Wallace was one of about 85 night workers who were drawn to Dawson City, Yukon by the promise of prosperity during the Klondike Gold Rush. She's pictured here in a studio around 1896. Eager miners line up in Dawson City, 1898, to register their gold claims during the Klondike Gold Rush, chasing dreams of striking it rich. In 1899, a group of young ladies of the night gathered around a table in Whitechapel, Dawson City, during the peak of the Klondike Gold Rush. A busy street in Dawson, Yukon Territory, 1899, shows a crowd gathered around donkeys decorated with posters for a theatrical play. Grand opening tonight. In 1898, a daring group of prospectors crosses the icy waters of Lake LaBerge, determined to reach the promising gold fields of Dawson in the Yukon Territory. Known as the Gypsy Queen, Mrs. Curly Monroe, wife of a local saloon owner, became an iconic figure in Dawson City around 1890. In 1897, a Klondike miner makes his way along the tough Chilkoot Trail in Alaska, joined by 5 indigenous porters and 2 oxen. In 1886, a historic scene of Vancouver's birthplace, originally called Granville, shows Corral Street looking south, with the famous Maple Tree Corner on Water Street. This iconic spot, marked by its symbolic maple tree, witnessed the city's growth and still retains its historic charm, remaining a popular gathering place and cultural landmark in the heart of Vancouver today. This rare photo captures thousands of hopeful miners, or stampeders, waiting to climb the steep Chilkoot Pass. In the background, long lines of packers brave the harsh Arctic weather, carrying heavy loads toward the Klondike goldfields in Alaska, 1898. In 1897, 4 prospectors tackle the tough Chilkoot Trail near Sheep Camp, Alaska, during the Klondike Gold Rush. Carrying heavy loads over steep, snowy terrain, they brave extreme conditions on one of the most legendary routes to the northern goldfields. This 1888 photo shows the corner of Front and Wellington Streets in Toronto, Ontario. This historic intersection was later transformed with the construction of the iconic Gooderham Building, famous for its triangular shape, which became an architectural landmark of the city. May Stanley, pictured in a studio around 1898, was one of many women who worked as dance hall entertainers during the Klondike Gold Rush, selling whiskey and dancing with men, a practice allowed by law at the time. In 1910, Mr. Rupert Fulton poses in front of his Lakeview dairy wagon in Vernon, British Columbia. In 1898, a woman arrives on the bustling streets of Dawson, Yukon Territory, accompanied by a team of sled dogs carrying her luggage. In 1912, a group of Shuswap indigenous people poses in front of tents at Tejon Cache. This location, used for centuries as a gathering and trading spot by indigenous peoples, served as a vital pass through the mountains. In 1889, people gather in front of the Hudson's Bay Company store at 150 Cordova Street in Vancouver. This location was a vital hub for trade and supply, symbolizing the economic expansion and influence of the Hudson's Bay Company in the development of Western Canada. In 1900, a crowd gathers to celebrate the 4th of July on Front Street in Nome, Alaska. At the time, Nome was one of the largest cities in the Alaska Territory, thriving with the gold rush and drawing adventurers and immigrants in search of opportunities. Around 1900, the inside of a saloon and barbershop in Steveston shows two bartenders ready behind the counter, while customers occupy the back of the room. In 1898, a family group, possibly of Kutchin ethnicity, poses outside their tent in 40 Mile, Yukon Territory. Built around 1898 by Belinda Mulrooney, one of the most influential businesswomen of the Klondike Gold Rush, the Magnet Roadhouse in Grand Forks, Yukon, was the first roadhouse on Bonanza Creek, about 10 miles southeast of Dawson City. It offered shelter, meals, and supplies to prospectors braving the tough journey in search of wealth in the far north. Klondike Kate Rockwell, the Queen of the Klondike, was one of Dawson's most daring and famous women, captured here in a studio portrait. Born Eloisa Rockwell in 1876 in Kansas, Kate rose to fame as a good-time girl during the gold rush, making and losing a fortune along the way, living a life as wild and unpredictable as the Klondike itself. In 1899, several pack mules wait outside the Bartlett Brothers offices in Dawson, Yukon Territory, loaded with essential supplies for the mining camps. Kitten Faith, a farmer's daughter named Henrietta, arrived in Skagway during the height of the gold rush in January 1898. She first worked as a madam in a large gentleman's resort, and in 1905 opened her own saloon. The red light district on 7th Avenue was shut down in September 1909, and Kitten Faith was the last madam to leave the area. Around 1897, elated miners proudly display large, newly discovered gold nuggets during the famous Klondike Gold Rush. In this 1912 photo, a mining engineer and his dogs hitch a ride on an improvised rail cart, traveling from Shelton to the town of Nome, Alaska. This 1890 photo shows people inside and around the Pacific Express train of the Canadian Pacific Railroad, near the river and tunnel in Kicking Horse Canyon, close to Golden. Completed in 1885, this monumental railway was crucial in connecting remote British Columbia to the rest of Canada, boosting transportation and economic development as it crossed the mountains and opened up the Canadian interior. Rose Blumkin, known as the Fairy of Dawson and later of Nome, officially worked as a receptionist and ticket seller at the Monte Carlo Theater, despite not knowing how to dance or sing. Her love for fine jewelry and ball gowns, along with her police record, suggests she may have also worked more intimately to support her extravagant spending. In 1901, a Blackfoot chief and indigenous women from his tribe, dressed in ceremonial attire, adorned with beads and feathered headdresses, gather at a powwow in Calgary to celebrate the visit of the Duke of Cornwall and York. Kate Rockwell, known as Klondike Kate, gained fame by dancing in vaudeville shows during the Klondike Gold Rush in the 1890s. Beloved by miners who spent lavishly on her, the spirited dancer was engaged over 100 times and married at least 3. In the 1890s, people gather outside Charles Anderson's grocery store, located at 164 Cordova Street in Vancouver. A portrait of a pioneer family from North Vancouver, taken around the late 1890s, capturing a moment in the early days of settlement. In 1904, a settler couple from the Canadian prairies, along with their children, head to market in their ox-drawn wagon. In 1886, ox teams haul freight wagons in Ashcroft, located in the Thompson Country region of south-central British Columbia. These wagons were crucial for trade and supplying remote communities. In 1900, a team of dogs pulls a cart through the streets of Dawson City, Yukon, displaying promotional banners for local businesses like Dr. Lee Dentist, Comet Shaving Parlor, and Star Laundry and Bath House. In 1908, Mr. Tim Vogt, alongside his wife Lena and their daughters, poses in the idyllic Nicola Valley. Nestled in the rain shadow of the Coast Mountains, the valley lies between the majestic Lillooet and Canadian Cascade Ranges. Jefferson Soapy Smith is seen at the counter of his bar in Skagway, Alaska, shortly before his death on July 8, 1898. A notorious swindler, Soapy roamed the American West, leaving his mark as one of the most cunning and infamous conmen of the era. In 1899, a street scene in Dawson, Yukon Territory, shows mules loaded with timber, essential for construction during the height of the Klondike Gold Rush. Around 1900, a group of freight wagons, many carrying large boilers, is gathered west of Grand Forks, British Columbia. In 1910, a couple poses in their buggy-style wagon for a photo in the East Hill area of Vernon. This type of transport, common among pioneer families, reflects the leisurely pace and the growing agricultural life in the British Columbia countryside. In 1893, a group of men boards a stagecoach in Caslow, traveling along the west shore of Kootenay Lake in the West Kootenay region, heading to the mines.